People in Indiana have no hope for Indiana football. Like, it's a basketball school.
Tom Allen got fired at Indiana today after a 3-9 season, 7 seasons there, 1 winning season.
Curt Cignetti, great coach at James Madison, did an incredible job. Well, he's going to Indiana, so he is your new Indiana coach.
When I got here, I just detected this gloom around the program, this hopelessness.
You know, that night at the basketball game, I felt like I got to wake these people up.
Purdue sucks, but so does Michigan and Ohio State.
But I also had to set expectations.
And he said in the first 8 hours that he was on campus, he had to change everybody's thoughts on everything.
We walk in there and we got 10 offensive starters in transfer portal.
First day on campus, we got 10 offensive starters in the transfer portal and half the defense.
Now, they didn't tell me that in the interview.
They didn't tell me that, I wouldn't have either. But 3 weeks later, we got 22 new guys.
Then I got asked for the 15th time, how am I possibly going to get this done? And, I was tired. And that's when I put my head down and finally just said,
it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Indiana should terrify folks. They're not supposed to be here. You really still don't know what they are. Half the folks out there still saying, well, they haven't played anyone. Yeah, but they've thrown everyone they have played in a wood chipper.
Undefeated, never trailed. Not bad.
A big problem for Indiana was we could not recruit offensive and defensive linemen.
Big boys.
The big guys.
We brought 22 new guys in, 2 3-year starters, all conference guys. I felt like we flipped the roster.
Should be taken seriously and probably deserve a little bit more national attention than they're even getting right now.
That's a team that never trailed till the 9th game of the year. And then we went up to Michigan State, fell behind 10-0, scored 47 straight points to go 9-0.
They spotted Michigan State 10 and then just obliterated them.
Led the country in point differential, which is huge. I'm responsible for every person that walks through this door, whether it's a coach, player, or support staff. I got to put my stamp on it. They got to be the right kind of people. You got to have a blueprint and a plan to create an environment where people can thrive and a process where people can improve daily. And if you prepare the right way, there's no self-imposed limitation. Should be no self-imposed limitations on what you can accomplish.
They're the noise in the woods. They're the noise in the woods. Do you want to go see what it is? I don't want to go see what it is. I'm glad they're not on my schedule. It's a top 10 team. They're the number 8 team in the country in November in football.
What Curt Cignetti has done there, I think, is admirable. However,
10-0, go to Ohio State for a quarter and a half. We're up, then tied, and then the wheels came off.
And this one, muffed. Ohio State.
the big dog was barking yesterday in Columbus, Ohio, in the shoe. Ohio State 38, Indiana 15. To me, it just came down to the inability to go out to the deep water with Ohio State. What I just said, like at some point in time, it's about having better players. That's what Ohio State has.
Was the moment too big at that point in time? Maybe.
I think we saw pretty clearly yesterday they're not going to be a national title contender team.
Jeremiah Love breaks free. Jeremiah Love trying to go 98.
But Notre Dame was in control the entire game. It never felt in doubt. That 98-yard touchdown run by Jeremiah Love broke it open.
It reminded me of the Ohio State game.
If you don't routinely step under the heavy bar, if your schedule does not force you to do that, like Indiana, the only heavy lift they had the entire year was Ohio State in Columbus. We saw what happened.
There's a clear line of demarcation between an elite team that's going to advance to the playoff and a team that is pretty good, but probably not elite.
We know that they didn't have great wins because their schedule didn't afford them great opportunities within their conference.
Curt Cignetti did the best that he can.
Yeah.
Indiana's not a bad football team.
Notre Dame, I don't feel like the moment was too big. We just didn't get much done on offense. We really didn't.
But that was uncharted territories outside of Ohio State. It was just something, Scott, that they just could not overcome throughout the course of that game.
I think that's a real accomplishment, getting in that dance. And I think, improving to the point where you can legitimately win it all and be a national champion. That takes money, resources, takes some time. But that doesn't mean you can't do it this year.
Here goes Brady, looking for a block, and Jonathan Brady is gone.
The schedule last year for Indiana is what made them who they were. You didn't have to play Oregon, you didn't have to play Penn State. However, this year you do have to play Oregon. You do have to play Illinois. Like, you got a new quarterback who's good, but I have a hard time believing they have the success they had last year into 2025.
Going for the corner. It's caught. It's Surratt. It is touchdown.
I got Indiana going 8-4. I don't think it's just as easy as returning a bunch of starters and you carry over all the momentum. I think it'll be a little more bumpier road.
There's absolutely nothing attractive about Indiana from a football standpoint. I don't know how he's done it.
We're not trying to sustain success. We're trying to improve. We're very process-driven in everything we do.
Indiana has put up 73 points against Indiana State. Indiana's total yards, 680. Over 300 on the ground, 300 in the air, and 11 straight wins at home. That is a new program record.
Really, the first real big game was Illinois. They were 9th in the country.
We could look back at the end of the season and say this is a result that decided a playoff spot. Illinois at Indiana.
I don't know if the Hoosiers are as good as they were a year ago. I just don't.
I think Illinois can be an equally dynamic version of that, of what Indiana was last year.
I mean, we were waiting on Illinois. They were number 9 in the country. They were going to be this year's Indiana.
I'm leaning Illinois here, Andy.
You're taking Illinois to cover. I am taking Illinois to cover.
I have to lean Illinois in this game.
I think Illinois wins the game outright.
And, we wiped them out here at home.
Second punt for Brennan. Line is blocked. Got in there in a beat. D'Angelo Pons is going to score. To the outside. Cooper had 4 touchdowns last week. Looking for his first today. And he's got it. Looks. Steps into one. End zone. Touchdown.
I am done picking against Indiana. I'm done. Because this year's Indiana is probably better than last year's Indiana.
To the end zone, wide open. Elijah Surratt, touchdown. Up the middle, lot of space. Black is gone. And Indiana is up over 60 here at home.
Dude, Cignetti coaches like the opposing coach stole his girlfriend in high school. Like, he coaches angry, bro.
Indiana beat Illinois 63-10. One of the biggest games in the Big Ten is happening on Saturday. Indiana visits the Oregon Ducks.
Is this the first opportunity for them to go play a marquee, big-time opponent that the entire country respects?
Oregon was 2 or 3 in the country at the time, and I think that was a big step for us because there were still a lot of doubters nationally.
That Oregon team just feels very deep to me.
I don't see them getting it done. It's hard to play at Autzen, it really is. That crowd's just phenomenal. I got the Ducks in this one.
Mendoza gonna go on the sideline and got it complete to Surratt. Backpedals, fires, got a man there, and it's got him. Malik Benson, touchdown.
I thought Oregon was an extremely impressive team on tape, and it was a hard place to play. I thought it'd be critical that, number one, we have a great mindset.
Mendoza throws off his back foot, it's intercepted. Picked off by the Ducks, and it's Brandon Finney, the freshman, touchdown.
And that we would be able to overcome adversity during the course of the game.
Mendoza throws complete, got it to Surratt, first down, and then Surratt with his motion man on that play, and now he's in motion. Surratt's got it, first and goal.
Without flinching, ever letting doubt creep in, being resilient, so to speak.
They pressure him, the throw to the end zone, touchdown! Wow, what a play!
I picked Oregon to win. I thought they might even backdoor cover. Curt Cignetti had a feeling about it going into this game, and that feeling resulted in a 10-point win in Autzen, in one of the toughest places to play in college football.
On the road at Oregon, the Big Ten champion from a year ago, one of the best teams in the country.
This Indiana team, I think, is substantially better and more dependable, more reliable than last year's Indiana team.
And what a win for Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers.
Here in State College, Pennsylvania, we've got a chance to see the number 2 team in the nation, the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers at 9-0, ready to take on Penn State.
We had a chance to put Penn State away in the third quarter, and we didn't do it. And they gained momentum, scored 17 straight, and we had 2 or 3 drives where we did absolutely nothing.
You've got Penn State coming back, taking the lead against Indiana.
There were 105,000 people in that stadium. They had scored 17 straight points. We had done nothing, 3 straight series. There's a minute 40 to go in the clock. We got to go 75 yards with no timeouts.
Mendoza, he's got to let it fly, and they get it again!
And he gets sacked on 1st and 10, 2nd and 17. And at that point, there couldn't have been many people in the stadium thinking it looks very good for Indiana.
2nd and 17, guns in over the middle, and a first down for Omar Cooper. That's a 22-yard gain.
Those 11 guys in that huddle, flipped the switch just like that, starting with the quarterback.
Mendoza, sideline throw, caught out of bounds, E.J. Williams. He picks up 13.
And then he just threw darts down the field, and our guys made plays. And
Mendoza, over the middle, he's got it! A gain of 29.
Well, if Fernando Mendoza is going to have a Heisman moment, this would be the time to do it. And oh my God, did he ever have a drive for the ages.
Mendoza. And the catch. Charlie B again. Mendoza in trouble. It's
Is it a touchdown? Touchdown! Unbelievable! Omar Cooper with a grab.
Give him the Heisman Trophy now.
Or when I saw that catch and the way that game ended, it felt a little bit of like Team of Destiny.
Coach, a perfect regular season. You all now head to the Big Ten Championship for the first time in Indiana football history. In just 2 years, there's been so many firsts for this university.
Someday I'll reflect back on it, but we got too much ahead of us right now.
In Indiana, this is an obvious one. This is the biggest game in the history of their program, period. You know, they've got a chance to not only win the conference title, not only lock up the #1 seed in the college football playoff, but also possibly win a Heisman Trophy.
Ohio State's a 5.5-point favorite. Indiana is coming in trying to prove a point.
Indiana is a wagon, but is there a part of you that is not quite sure if they are equipped to beat Ohio State?
This is not an Indiana thing for me. I'm not sure there's anybody that can beat this Ohio State team.
I love Mendoza, but the RPO system, I think he's just easier to stop than Julian Sain in this offense. So, love Ohio State.
I think Ohio State wins. I think it's probably within a score, but I still think Ohio State covers.
I don't know if Ohio State's played their best game because they haven't had to.
Until further notice, Ohio State's the best team in the country, and I'm taking them to win, and I will take them to cover.
This is the underdog story. And now Curt Cignetti doesn't want to hear that. He said it before the game, in the interview. This is not an underdog situation. This is a clash of titans. And he was right. It was a high-level game, very physical. Both defenses played really well. Both defenses limited the offenses.
What we talked about at halftime, do we have the perseverance? Are we tough enough?
You know, do we have what it takes to win a gut check physical game like this? This is going to be a test of our, our toughness and our persistence.
Steps up, down the field. Caught! Inside the 30. Charlie B.
And Fernando delivered dimes, and receivers made some nice catches.
They have a really tough third down situation in the red zone. And
Mendoza. Fade. Surratt. Corner! Touchdown, Indiana!
Coach, your defense had 8 tackles for loss, 5 sacks.
Sprints out, sets up, looks out, and they get him again.
What made them get after the quarterback? What made you guys so successful on defense?
Well, I mean, that's been who we've been all year, and really since 2019, I'm not going to lie to you. All in all, I thought we played pretty well.
Fielding comes in to attempt a 27-yarder. No good! Big play here, 3rd and 6.
Once again, when the game was on the line, Charlie Becker was showing up making big plays. Fernando was throwing dimes.
Mendoza! Charlie B! From Nashville, Tennessee! Curt Cignetti does it! In 2 years, the Indiana Hoosiers are champions of the Big Ten!
And you talk about changing the way people think. I got 3.5 weeks to get this team humble and hungry for the playoffs.
The winner of the 2025 Heisman Trophy is Fernando Mendoza.
Tell us, Paul, who are you taking, Indiana or Alabama?
I'm not picking Indiana, I can tell you that right now.
Well, okay.
And I don't want to sound like an elitist here, but I'll believe it when I see it.
What's terrifying about Alabama is like the unquantifiable. Like Alabama is the cousin you're going to see at Christmas dinner that you haven't seen since last year.
I will take Alabama to go out to Pasadena and be the one that beats Indiana this year.
You know about the Bama mystique. How do you convince the players that you're playing this team, you're not playing all that tradition?
You probably know more about the mystique than they do. I mean, our guys just know what they see on tape.
Bernard comes in motion, they pop it to him, trying to get the edge, and he's not going to get there. Indiana with a 4th down stop. Here it comes. Mendoza has time. Lows end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Becker.
What's different, in your opinion, about this iteration of Indiana this year? They're more physical, no doubt. All right, they're a lot more. They're a tougher team, and then you have a legit NFL quarterback under center.
So they're looking to throw, and Mendoza flips it. Easy pitch and catch. There's Omar Cooper Jr.
It's the execution everywhere. Execution's a word that gets thrown around, but they block well. Everybody does their assignment right. They run hard. They're tough to tackle. They have a quarterback that is so precise with the football.
Launching to the end zone. Surrounds out there. Touchdown Hoosiers. Pouring it on.
What don't they do well, Scott? They do everything really, really good.
He's breaking free. Hemby has turned to find the end zone. The Hoosiers hammer Alabama here in Pasadena and head to the semifinals, the Peach Bowl, for a chance to play in the national championship game.
How would you describe the turnaround and what you've been able to build in a short period of time?
It'd be a hell of a movie.
Be sure to comment down below your favorite game from Indiana's championship run. And if you're enjoying the video, subscribe and give it a like.
A standing room only crowd of more than 71,000, most of them clad in cream and crimson, filing into Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta for tonight's college football semifinal.
It was like 80-20 in that building. At least 80-20 Indiana fans.
We talked to Cignetti, and he said just based on the tickets, we're thinking about 85 to 90% Hoosiers. I'm like, there's no way. Sure enough, I think he might have undersold it.
And you build up, and first play.
The quick pass is intercepted. It's going to be run in for an Indiana touchdown. On the first play of the game.
It was just this like solid red blinking light in your face. It's probably going to be another Indiana night.
The impact that this Hoosier crowd had on this game tonight, how would you measure it?
It was because of how the game started. Pick six right out of the gate. It was immediate engagement.
And Fernando again looks to throw it. Now he's going deep, way deep, and the catch is made! What a play! Guess who?
It felt like Indiana was playing on that video game setting Heisman mode. You know how there's like easy, medium, hard, and then Heisman? They were stuck in Heisman mode from the first play of the game.
Gigantic pro-Indiana crowd, and they're loving every minute of it. Fires, back line of the end zone, touchdown. Elijah Surratt.
3 incompletions and 5 touchdowns in the biggest game of your life yet. I know you give great thanks to God, I appreciate that.
It's such a great collaborative effort. The culture within the administration, the coaching staff, and in the locker room, it provides such great synergy. Along with us always, counting on the man above. I can't give enough glory to God. He's done so much for his team, done so much for me, and just so excited to be Peach Bowl champs.
So they win the most recent biggest game in school history, 38-3 over one of the great programs of all time, Alabama, and now 56-22 over the Oregon Ducks.
Welcome to Miami and the College Football Playoff National Championship. A surprising championship matchup. The Indiana Hoosiers on the brink of history, the school's first national championship and a perfect season. The Miami Hurricanes championship legacy has laid dormant for about a quarter century. Outnumbered in their own house tonight, try to continue a rugged path. A Hoosier team that was 100-1 to win this championship at the beginning of the season, and a Miami team that was 100-1 on Selection Sunday, sitting there with 2 losses. Very few thought this matchup was possible. But it certainly is a lot of fun now that we're here. They bring it. Pitch to the end zone and fought for it, incomplete. Well defended. 3rd and long. Pressure comes. Beck's going to be wrapped up and sacked by Aiden Fisher. And the Hoosiers are flexing. They hand it off to the fullback / tight end, and he powers in. Touchdown, Indiana. 7, this is from 50, and it doinks off the right upright. Miami had 26 yards total offense until that last drive. Fletcher breaks free. Mark Fletcher in the foot race. Miami touchdown. So Dylan Joyce back on. Blocked! Indiana blocks the punt and falls on it for a touchdown! Isaiah Jones on the recovery. Fletcher walks in. Miami touchdown. What a response.
And, we took some chances. We played to win. We went for it on 4th down a few times.
Who made that decision? Was that you?
Oh, I did. Yeah, you did. Absolutely.
It's something of a gamble. A lot of coaches would punt Miami deep. Mendoza, ball in his hands. Sideline pitch. Becker comes back to make a catch.
We sent the field goal team out there, and I really didn't feel good about it at all. So called timeout. Felt like going for it was the thing to do.
Here we go. He's going to take off and run, Mendoza. Weaves his way, 1st and goal, diving toward the end zone. Touchdown! That's where he won the Heisman Trophy. He's got it on the pitch. Tony breaks free. Malachi Tony spinning, scoring! Makes it a 3-point game again. 6:37 left. Field goal knocked right through. But Miami and Carson Beck are going to have a chance. Beck steps up, delivers downfield. Intercepted!
And the rags to riches story for Indiana football comes to conclusion, and they are the national champions of 2026. What a football team! What a football team!